Trump administration was unacceptable and changes had to be made.
Do you think it's acceptable to fire veterans from jobs where they've been, I talk to my neighbors at the Arsenal, and they've worked there 20, 30 years on top of their service to this country, and they're doing it exemplary.
Great performers will always have a job at the Department of War, and when you reestablish merit, sometimes things happen, but we're grateful for all the vets that serve. And in fact, we've created a Patriot Pipeline for service members to get into the defense industrial base manufacturing business, to consider that as a second career. So we're leaning into vets and service members as the workforce of the future in our department.
And this isn't me. I mean, they tell me that, they feel you're taking a wrecking ball to the civilian workforce. But, I want to go and follow up on Congressman Norcross's questions about why you terminated collective bargaining earlier this month. This affects hundreds of thousands of hardworking DOD employees. So many of them are veterans who have honorably served our country. You testified that if you work hard, you do the work, you keep your job. But that's not what's happening. And you allege it is being done to maximize efficiency? Explain that.
I thank you for asking that question. I'd love to clarify. I fundamentally believe the Department of War should not be subject to collective bargaining, full stop.
So people shouldn't be able to fight for good wages and being treated well?
I think our department does a great job evaluating and providing pay and benefits for folks across the spectrum.
I would love to invite you to the Rock Island Arsenal so you can look these patriots in the eyes and tell them that. How does creating chaos for long-term civilian workers actually maximize efficiency? Do you have any comment on that?
There are plenty of examples of shipyards and other manufacturing plants where there are restraints that limit the hours, limit the ability of leaders to ensure we're meeting the goals we're supposed to, and I don't think we should live to those constrictions.
Okay. Well, you know what? I want to use the rest of my time to the men and women of our armed forces. Please go forth with the integrity and the morality that you've carried before this administration took us down a path that has allies turning away and American citizens objecting. Do what's right, even if you're asked to do otherwise. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mills.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, General Kane, and the Honorable. We'd love to just thank you for this opportunity, for coming here, and for continuing to push forward the warfighter ethos, for making sure that the realities, regardless of what's said in here, are the realities on the battlefield that we're getting day in and day out. I asked the chairman for unanimous consent to enter a couple of documents into record.
Without objection.
I'll be entering into record my DD-214, published in 2003, indicating my Bronze Star and other wartime medals and decorations. I'd also like to present the document provided by the Department of the Army in 2024 that also authorizes vets and verifies all medals and/or awards, as well as a document by Paul Savitsky, former Special Forces member, that annotates the 2 explosions that I was involved in Baghdad.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Secretary, as you know, you're pretty familiar with the ideas of slander, defamation, and attack on character. So I apologize for having to take that moment to be able to go ahead and correct the record, but it was necessary. I would also note that my OMPF file that was FOIA'd by the Department of the Army, or that was FOIA'd, was actually released by the Department of the Army the same day as yours was. So everything is sitting on the actual website itself if people aren't too lazy to look at it. Secretary Hegseth, thank you for your testimony and for the time that you have here today. As the chairman noted, President Trump's incredible $1.5 trillion investment into our national defense is set to reverse the years of atrophy that our defense industrial base has faced over time, especially small, innovative businesses and needs of a solid demand that signal that our War Department is ready to buy American. I witnessed myself as I was with you in Merritt Island, Florida, as we went on the Arsenal tour, and unfortunately I didn't get to do the cool things like fly in a jet really quick and buzz around while we were all actually doing hard work here. But I wanted to just say, Mr. Secretary, that can you detail for us how the Department of War has eased the path for American small businesses to contract with the department?
Well, Congressman, thank you for the question. That has been core to our mission, is the recognition that we have a problem at the department, previously the Department of Defense and now the Department of War, and that problem is us. That problem is our bureaucracy, our process that is meant to block out new competitors and protect existing primes. And there are great primes that provide great products, and we continue to support them. But to build an arsenal of freedom, you need more than just 5 or more than just 6. You need an entire network of small, medium, and large companies contributing to the U.S. manufacturing and supply base, delivering weapons ahead of schedule and under budget that don't only have defense business, but also commercial business. And when we need something, can move quickly and adapt accordingly because there are multiple options. So our acquisitions transformation, a speech and memo and directive we rolled out on that, the Arsenal of Freedom tour, going out there with the hard hats and saying, you are part of the workforce, you have the backs of our warriors, just changing the entire dynamic to say, you shouldn't have to sue the department in order to get a contract with the department. We're opening the doors with small business loans, whether it's SIBR Sitter or DIU or OSC. The Office of Strategic Capital hasn't even been discussed today. $20 billion that gets levered into $200 billion so that companies can invest in ways they otherwise wouldn't have the capital to do, and it's not on our balance sheet. So we've got businessmen, the Deputy Secretary of War, who should be deemed a national asset for what he understands and how he works. We're opening the aperture of our department in historic ways, and I think I know our manufacturing base is going to see the benefit from it.
Thank you so much. I also want to thank you for your due diligence in making sure that Task Force Audit will come forward, and we will see the Department of War for the first time in 2028 with a clean audit, something that the previous administration was never able to do, and many before that. I believe it was 28 years, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Secretary, since we've had a clean audit.
That is right, and this is not a thing we just announced. We've been doing it for 15 months. Jay's been integrally involved. We just launched a joint task force audit. We are going to pass an audit as a department by 2028 because the taxpayers.
And this is why we're so honored to have you as our Secretary of War, and General Kane. We're honored to have you as well, leading our forces. Mr. Secretary, with the last few seconds I have, from ships to bombs to bullets, our industrial base is in dire need of support. Even as these defense markers are strengthened, as a former small business owner, I understand how bottlenecks can hold up good contracts and move from the speed at which we need for our warfighters. Mr. Secretary, can you detail how the department has moved to promote diversity in our defense industrial base? Well, if you will, can we submit for record?
Sorry, every aspect is opening it up to provide as much running room for new entrants as possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. With that, I yield back.
Chair now recognizes the gentleman from New Mexico, Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today. You're here before us requesting $1.5 trillion for the Defense Department, the largest one-year increase since World War II. While I will recognize that your budget does include increases for pay and quality of life, these increases are outweighed by the rising cost of living and the department's ongoing failures on childcare, education, medical care, and other quality of life factors. Just like other families, the soaring cost of gas, groceries, housing, and childcare have left military families underwater. Yet the department continues to put other priorities, like a $25 billion war of choice in Iran, and just lately, photo ops with Kid Rock, ahead of improving the lives of our troops and their families. It's deeply troubling to me that the department received a historic $1 trillion last year, including $9 billion under H.R. 1 for improving troops' quality of life, but the New Mexican service members that I have talked to are still living in barracks that are at capacity, sending their kids to run-down schools and lack access to on-base child care. Here's an example. During my most recent visit to White Sands Missile Range, I saw severely aging on-base infrastructure, specifically an elementary school that is in need of a complete rebuild. Secretary Hegseth, last fall you said that quality of life for our warriors is a critical component of reviving the warrior ethos. In a video you posted to social media last November, you said that the places where our warfighters reside need to be safe, comfortable, and clean. And in your opening statement today, you said quality of life is front and center in this budget. But when it comes to our troops' quality of life, I fear that this is more of all talk, because I can tell you the outdated barracks that I saw at White Sands Missile Range were anything but safe, comfortable, clean, and I haven't heard from service members about any improvements since you've assumed this role. As Secretary of Defense, do you take any accountability for the continued quality of life concerns that New Mexico's military service members and family face today under your leadership?
Well, I appreciate your attention to the matter of quality of life, which is incredibly important to us, and it's reflected in this budget. I mean, historic amounts in barracks, in family housing, in family support like child development, youth program. I mean, this budget surpasses anything you've seen from this department in quite some time, to include replacing or eliminating all poor and failing barracks. So we've seen those photos. We responded to him with a Barracks task force with $1 billion initially, and now we have billions of dollars behind it